Hi everyone, welcome to DM Talk. I'm Henry Knight from Playerole, and we're here. We have 3 topics tonight. We have a lot to talk about, and hopefully you can stay with me because 3 topics. Number 1, how do you handle your creature that you created as DM and then it dies on you? How do you handle it as DM? Topic number 1. Number 2, interruptions while you're role-playing, where you're creating this big scene, maybe a sappy emotional moment. How do you handle it when your players laugh, they just interrupt? How do you handle that as a DM? And 3 is probably the longest topic and probably one of the most important. 2 and 3 are, to me at least. When you make a character, there are 3 ways to make a character. Point allocation, roll for your ability checks, and then standard array. We'll go over that in the 3rd topic, but for now, let's start number 1. Number 1 topic, how do you, as a DM, handle a creature? You created a homebrew creature, right? And let's say that, let me make sure everything's streaming well. Okay. All right, everything is good. But let's say that everything is going well for you, right? And you put your creature out in the table. And then your party just massacres it. Just literally massacres your creature. Your creature fucking dies on you. It just literally obliterated your creature. Well, as a new DM, new DMs, they have problems with it. They get emotional. They're like, oh no. Well, it's fun. Does it get a little irritating? Yeah, it does. But it's fun. I mean, you're not playing against the players. It's not player against DM. It's, hey, they killed your creature and that's it. You're done. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think. I mean, out there, let me know if you're a DM, how do you handle all this? How do you handle your creature you worked on for hours and then dies? Because strategically, you were off kilter. Like tonight, I'm a little bit off kilter, a little bit of technical difficulties, and man, shit happens, what are you gonna do? Either way, what is your way to handle it? Because there's a multitude of creatures. I mean, I remember in my game, season 1, before we actually started recording, we had a basilisk. I had a basilisk, and I love basilics. And it was a sorceress and a cleric, fighter, 2 fighters, and they just literally obliterated my basilisk. I wanted to have this epic scene in my head. It's like the Clash of the Titans with fighting Medusa. You have the shield, you peek around the corner and you see Medusa, and then you look around and oh shit, you turn to stone. I wanted to have that type of moment, but it didn't happen. I rolled badly. I rolled so bad despite my modifiers, right? Despite the Basilisk's modifiers, there's nothing I could have done. Yeah, I could have lied. Let's take a look at a basilisk. Here, a basilisk challenge rating of 3. Not a powerful creature, but its attack modifier is a +5. So, can you imagine if you're fighting and this creature gets a 3, a 4, and if you get a low number, even with your +5, your players, they're going to be like, nothing. And not only did I have a basilisk, I had goblins. My goblins did well. My goblins was 300 feet away, and he was an archer. And man, he was Robin Hood, man. He just pulled that cord back, and that arrow, and it was hitting people left and right. My goblins did awesome. They were gods on the battlefield. But my basilisk, man, you know what they did? They put the poor thing into a corner, and they just kept bam, 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 hitting it. One of them had hold monster, I think. Yeah, and it was pretty brutal. It happens as DM. You get in positions where you have the DM screen, right? You have the DM screen. You got to make a decision. Do you lie about it? You're like, I'm gonna lie. No, you don't do that. You make the best of what you got. If you roll badly, then that's it. Period. That's the dice. That's what makes Dungeons and Dragons Dungeons and Dragons. That's the dice. Now, if there's a situation where a player, and I've done this before, where if they're low on hit points and they're doing their best and they've attacked a creature, and they brought them down and they're just having bad luck, sometimes as DM, let them stride. Let it happen. If they die, they die. That's just it. The dice do the talking. I know a lot of times, you missed. You didn't really miss. Excuse me. You missed. There was a situation where the creature was hit badly and, you knocked them out. Or you missed. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Oh, wait. Give the player a chance? Yes, you could do that. You could say, yeah, you hit the creature. You know his AC is 20, or in this case of the basilisk, his AC is 15. What are you gonna do if they miss? Pretend it's not an AC of 15? They could look in the book. Oh, it's a homebrew creature. You can do that. I mean, that's your decision as a DM. It's your table, but be honest about the rolls. And to me, try to be honest as possible, because it creates this connection with your players, and it's fun. Man, if they literally obliterate your creature and they're having fun, yeah, that's the point of the game. There's going to be times where you are having an awesome night and they're not rolling good. I've had them, and they hate legendary actions. They hate legendary resistance. Or if you're doing another creature that has villain actions, those are deadly. Oh, and the struggle is real. But what are you going to do? I mean, that's a big deal. And how do you handle your creature dying? How I handle it, it's fun. You know, my big bad campaign one, or season one. Um, One of my players, Timothy Dale, Mike Dale, however, whatever family and friends they call him differently. But either way, he plays cleric, and he had his totem, this magic item that basically opens a fissure in the ground, and no matter who they are, they got to make a save. And there is no save except legendary resistance. And I had a brain fart, and he literally brought down my big bad. And that was cool. I give him a lot of credit. If you want to see the end to season one, that moment was fantastic. I'm not going to take that away from him. It was beautiful. He got me at that moment. It was like, oh, I knew that he had a legendary resistance. I knew all that. But I was trying to figure out how many charges he had left, how many of this and that, and all that. I don't like to do that. Go for the moment. If you're having a brain fart as a DM, go for the moment. Just run. Don't freeze. Just go. If you fail on a rule, if you fail on a scene, move on. Go. He's dead. Period. Don't go back. Don't say rewind. No, don't fucking rewind. No, don't. Why should you? That's an issue with a lot of folks, because when you have a creature and it dies, some DMs get pissed. Oh man, I've played in a lot of tables. The DMs are angry, and they literally look at you like you're an evil spawn. But that's not the way it should be played. But I'm an old school gamer. All right, that's it for topic number one. Topic two, interruptions in a game. This is a big one, but my players have gotten better about it. They're having fun, and you know what? It's not that when you have a table, you have a table of 8 or 9. It gets, depending on whose scene it is. They out of fun, they want to talk about it. I told them text each other, and stuff like that. And that's cool. I don't mind that. But when you're describing the scene, imagine you're describing a scene, you're in a castle, there's a red carpet, and at the end you can see the throne room, and the king's sitting on the throne, and the players are approaching, and you're describing this huge scene, and you get, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, that fucking pisses me off. It does. I mean, it does. Because to me, the essence of role-playing is the descriptions. It's the feel. And how can you feel or immerse yourself in this fantasy if you're talking about whatever? Or if you're talking about the game. I don't mind you talking about the game. I don't mind you're having fun. Have fun. Don't interrupt. Oh, we're having fun. Cool. But when I'm having a scene, don't. It is epic as hell if a player and myself were getting into the moment. And it's grab a scene and they clench their fists. They have their hands on hilt. They draw their sword. You could hear the sheet. There's so much happening in a scene that if it's interrupted by laughter or banter or whatever the fuck it is, it shouldn't be that way. It just shouldn't. Because when you are in a game and you are, when you are role playing, it shouldn't be interrupted. Yeah, there are moments where there's laughter, and if the party's all there together, they're in a tavern, or they're in combat, and there's whatever, that's fine. But if I'm in a role playing moment with one player, and the NPC's talking to that player, and the players are all there, and they want to get in the role playing, and then if they want to interrupt, that's different because they're in that scene. But if I'm in another scene with a player and one other guy interrupts, you're not respecting that player's scene. You're not respecting anyone. You're just being an ass. Oh, come up with the plan. Text. That's why you got a phone. And out there in streaming land, I know a lot of guys are like, oh, they're not paying attention. Oh, they're paying attention. My crew pays attention. They just want to talk it out, and that's fine. They want to set up. They want to strategize a situation. And I don't have a problem with that. That's fantastic. The essence of role-playing, like I said before, is role-playing. It's not fucking miniatures. It's not the aesthetics. It's role-playing. Back in the old days, right? We didn't have miniatures. We didn't have all that stuff. Let me backtrack. There was, but not like we have now. Not we can buy multiple trees and backgrounds and all that type of stuff. No, it was theater of the mind. It was a made-up DM screen, pieces of paper put together, or cardboard, right? And paper. Not let's print out your character sheet. Not use a phone in D&D Beyond. Got to remember, back in the day, we didn't have the access to all that stuff. Didn't. We had our imagination. So when you interrupt a scene, there you go, imagination. That's exactly. I think that's a problem with a lot of folks now is they tend to forget that imagination is a key. And they use everything else, the aesthetics, everything else in the game to say, hey, that's Dungeons and Dragons, and it isn't. I'm using miniatures in the game because my players, and we discussed it together, they like it. I like it too in a sense, but if I wanted to, I've told them before, we're going to have games where we're not going to have anything on board and it's going to be theater of the mind. I've had those games because it's to relieve me because I love theater of the mind. I would go straight out theater of the mind and role play. But people don't like that now. They want to see the miniatures. They want to see the position of the miniatures. They want to see where, if I'm 300 feet away, I can see him. Do I see him behind something? Well, yeah, he is. If you have the miniature positioned, the wall's right there, boom. That's where description comes in. As a DM, it's your job to describe the scene, the scenario. To me, this is a very big issue because I know that a lot of DMs that I know personally, they're great guys, but they don't do what I do. They do it a little differently. Not by much, but a little differently. And that's fine. That's their table. But at my table, this is the way I do it. You want Dungeons and Dragons, you're going to get it. It's going to be you're going to immerse yourself in a fantasy world, and that's what it is. It is a fantasy world. And imagination is a key. Thank you, Tennessee Volunteer 85. I agree. Let me know what you guys think of topic number 2, interruptions. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm full of shit? Do you think that all this is nothing? Let me know what you guys think of this. Interruptions. Do you like interruptions in your game? Do you not deal with it? Do you just go on? Is your mind focused so much on that player that everybody's talking and interrupting and you don't care? The way it was meant to be played. Yep, exactly. All right, topic number 3. I got a good one, and this one's pretty cool. When you make your character, there is 3 ways to make a character. 1, point allocation. This is important now. It's a 27-point rule, 15 being the highest. You have 6 abilities. You have your strength, dex, con, charisma, wisdom, and intelligence. All that stuff. 15 being the highest, you allocate all your points there, depending on what character class you pick. So number 1. Number 2, roll for your ability. Right? 4d6. Remove the lowest, and bam, that is old school. We're going to go over these in detail. And then last but not least, standard array. 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8. All that is the numbers. Do you do standard array, roll for ability, or point allocation? The reason why I brought this up as a topic, because it is important. Because people like to pick their characters. I got a wizard, or I got a sorcerer. You know the stats. Depending on what you pick, you have charisma, intelligence. Old school rolls. Yeah, gotcha. Old school's better. You get your 4d6 and you take out the lowest. Great. Now, do you go Tennessee Volunteer 85? Do you go stat by stat, no matter what you get, and you just put it in? Or do you allocate them accordingly? Let me know what you guys think about this, because point allocation, before we go back to rolls, I'm going to let Tennessee Volunteer think about what I just said. Point allocation is fun. You can manipulate your points, put them where you want to go, and you're done. What is your way of doing it? Standard array, you fit them in accordingly. The best way is roll 4d6. Now, let me tell you all this, something. All right? When you roll your character on D&D Beyond, and it's so basic, right? You make your character so fast. The old school way, you actually got the book out. You had your paper, made your name, your character class, your race, all that stuff, and then you do your abilities. Under strength, you roll. Right? Whatever you get, if it's a 13, it's a 13. If it's a 10, it's a 10. If it's a straight 18, it's an 18. Whatever it is, you put it in on that ability. Allocation is the best character with race in mind. Yeah. Point allocation. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Point allocation with race in mind. If you're an elf, a human, whatever you want to be, you get what you want. You get what you get. Gotcha. Let me see. Right. You get what you get. And the thing is, with all these ability, you make your character, and what do? Well, your points are there, and you play. I played in my buddy Anthony Yannis, this game. I played a fighter, and my lowest stat was strength. It just happened. I rolled badly. And when you're playing an old school game of D&D, the white box version, that's how it is. It's not where you have three ways of allocation, standard array, or roll ability. 3 ways. 3. What if you made your character and you were a mage and all of a sudden your stats weren't there? Then what? That's where the role-playing comes in. That's what I said before. Role-playing and imagination is the important thing, because if your stats suck, and wait a second, I'm not going to roll this character. This is bullshit. Let me roll again. It's too low. I can't handle it. Don't be an idiot. Don't be an idiot. Role player character, it is fun. It is challenging as hell. Yes, but it's fun. So you know what I did as a fighter? Let me go back to my buddy's Anthony's game. I played him like he was strong. I had, right, a slingshot, which I used many times. My strength was so low, my slingshot was better. But you know what? I roleplayed. This is the way I was. I was the strongest fighter in the world. There's nobody that could beat me. Nobody at all. Want to know why? Because I'm the strongest. I'm the best. And there's no one that can beat me. That's the way you do it. You roleplay. If you're a mage and you have shitty stats, so what? You don't think you get a 20 on a D20? What are the chances? Ooh. So what? You suck. And if you die, you die. That's the game. That is RPG. That is Dungeons and Dragons. The problem is with new gamers now and new DMs is it's okay. Let's give them another chance. Fuck that. Don't give them a chance. Roll it once. Role play. Have a little challenge. There's nothing wrong with a little challenge. It makes it fun. When you're in that creepy dungeon and you draw your sword and you have this massive creature coming at you, there are chances that you might die. Yes, but it's fun. Fight or flight. That's it for my 3 topics, but I have more to say. I wanted to bring up these 3 topics for a reason, because it's going to be connected to next week's topics, which I'm not going to reveal now. But this right here is important, because the essence of gaming itself is imagination. So what if you have shitty stats, right? And the monsters out there, if you're a player, if you're on the player side and you have shitty stat, you make the best of it, right? So for my session 0, right, in my game, I had they all voted what they wanted. Experience, for example. And this is an ongoing problem with my guys. They've always had, I love them to death, don't get me wrong. It sounds like I'm bitching, but I'm not. I want fair and square experience. Now, what I mean fair and square experience is if you have party of 7, right? 7, and if they go, 4 of them go to shop and the rest go out and they get into a fight. Let's say 3 get into a fight. Those folks deserve experience. The ones that did not do none. That is how I see fairness. They want a full, even shabam for experience. Fine. We voted because that's the way it is. I want everybody to be happy and have fun. So now I don't want arguments or anything like that. I don't like any of that at the table. So as a DM, you make a ruling, hey, don't have an argument, whatever, on the table. Walk away, talk about it later on chat or away from the table. Now, this right here, stats, they're important. And what does this all have to do with gaming? Everything, right? Because life isn't fair. You're right. Tennessee Volunteer 85, life isn't fair. You're right. Life is not fair. But the thing is, you come up with in session 0, you come up with an agreement with you and your players, and you try to balance everything out. Now, in today's gaming society, in their world, in today's players and DMs, they want everything, and a DM's guide says it too, balance. Everything has to be balanced. And that's fine. But experience, abilities, all that stuff, roll for your abilities. Oh, wait, I rolled like shit. Can I roll again? How many times do you need to roll? Roll once. That's the challenge. Oh, my party broke up they broke up. They went in 2 different ways. One got into a battle, the other one didn't. The one that got into the battle should get the experience. That's the way I play. But now, things are different. Everything's balanced. They want the aesthetics, they want the miniatures, they want all the beauty in the background. But if you suck describing, and if you suck telling a game, playing a game, then guess what? It doesn't matter, because all that stuff doesn't matter. It's the imagination that matters. And I think that's the problem with DMs nowadays. DMs and players is they want everything to be fair and square and blah, blah, blah. And you're right, Tennessee Volunteer 85. Life isn't fair. And it is, granted, it's a game. But the game is this, right? You're at somebody's table, right? And you've agreed to play, then play. Don't complain about it. I'm being fair by talking to all my players, and we've had a session 0. We've also had another one on Discord, and we all agree. Some of them didn't agree with what I had to say, and I get that. I'm being fair. So for season 2, everybody gets experience all across the board. Because there are folks, some of my players didn't like it. But they didn't like the D20, the explosion of the D20. They didn't like the D20 getting a 20 double damage. They wanted more of they wanted degrees of success more than anything else. They didn't want the D20 explosion. They thought that was too much. They wanted, they wanted your weapon to have double damage. That's what they wanted. But either way, the critical 1, they didn't want that either. They're like, no, we don't like critical 1s. Some of my players like it, but the other half didn't. So I said, okay, what don't you like about it? And they said, well, they want degrees of success. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of boring. I like the 1, you break your sword, you fall, you slip, your head hits the wall, you're prone, whatnot. But we all agreed. So I made a call. I said, okay, you guys can have some things, but I'm having my thing. The D20 explosion, we're keeping, and the critical 1, I'm keeping. Because that, to me, is a streaming thing. We're playing Dungeons and Dragons, but we're also an entertainment show. So, entertainment-wise, I want the D20. Can't have one without the other. Yeah, you're right about that. You're right. So that's what we talked about. And it's not about winning or losing. It's all about trying to come up with something good so everybody can have fun. And I just want everybody to have fun, no arguments and stuff like that. So all my players, we decided on some things, and we're keeping the D20 and the critical one, and everything else is experience. Experience all across the board. So if the party splits up, no matter what, you get the same. Now, if a player doesn't make it to the game, that's a whole new ballgame. So we discussed how much you're going to get with you not showing up. We discussed that. But other than that, I really suggest you guys to do session ones, or session zeros, and to discuss it with your players. Now, there might be heated moments. Yeah, there will be. You're human, but there's going to be heated moments. But it's a learning moment as well. So you're going to learn a lot about what the players want and what you want from the players. So you'll get both sides. Now, all this comes together because you have your abilities, right? And I mentioned in topic 1, if your creature dies. So now let's say you have, check this out, in your party, you have a player that's pissed off because he has low stats. And you have someone in your party you have to have some boundaries when life happens. You're right. Mm-hmm. Boundaries are 100%. I agree. Life happens. Yeah, life does happen. So yeah, you got to discuss boundaries. Tennessee Volunteer 85 said, hey, you got to have boundaries when life happens. That's something that's very important in as a party. You have to really come together because Playerole is not just me. It's my players. I love them to death, and we're all going to do this together. Number 1. Number 2, what I was getting at. You have a player who's pissed off about their stats, a player that is interrupting, and then you have somebody angry about whatever. So how do you handle all that stuff? You say, hey, put your hand up, and when you have a session 0, DM puts his hand up, they know it's, it's common courtesy. Yeah, you're right. I agree there, common courtesy. So you put your hand up and everybody just calms out. Continue. Like I said, if you got a problem at your table, despite of what it is, step away, because that's the way you're going to handle it. You just don't stay in there and then decide, well, I'm just going to want to bitch and complain right now. Right now, we're gonna have a fight. Wait, so now the game's no longer. If you what? All right, so let's say you have an interruption, right, and stuff. So you tell them, hey, you move on. Take it away from the table, because if there's fighting at the table, there's no connection. The role-playing moment's gone. The fantasy world's gone. You're diving into your fantasy world is gone because somebody's upset. So at break or away from the table, you discuss it. What happened? Trust me, I've had many discussions, and you come up with a resolution, and then continue. But my players, I've been very, very fortunate. Yes, if somebody can't make it, Tennessee Volunteer 85 said they can't make it to a session. Let someone else play a character that week. Exactly. That's a good idea. Yeah, I've done that before, and it's a great idea. But I will say this: in my session 0, to address what Tennessee Volunteer 85 said, if a player doesn't come and they get sick or something happens or whatever happens, life happens, like you said. If that happens, then guess what? You have a discussion, tell everybody, hey, that person is going to get half experience because we discussed it in session 0. And they're going to, and whoever is in the game, gets to play that so-and-so's character. Simple as pie. And that person gets half experience. We discussed it in your session 0, and you go from there. That's the way it should be done. Now, I just said, just don't make it habit. Yeah, you're right. But like I said before, thank you, Tennessee Volunteer 85. I have great players. They are great guys, bunch of guys, and we play very well together. So I've been very fortunate there. Now, I've had groups before in my past who were awesome. My very, very first group in my past, Dan, God bless his soul, Amanda, Jim Sanders, Amanda Sanders, brother and sister, wonderful people. The 3 of them, Dan, Amanda, and Jim, wonderful people. Luke Blackburn, another player of mine in the past, awesome guy. Dave, awesome guy as well. Eric Myford, great guy as well. George Christopher, he's now in my campaign, but he's played with those guys before. But these guys are very good people. So these guys are the core of my gaming group back in the day. And I wish they were here. One of them is, but I wish the rest of them were here because it would be, you want to talk about role-playing moments. We've had awesome moments. We've had moments where, and I want to tell you this scenario. Tell you about Dan. He played, it was Vampire the Masquerade. It wasn't Dungeons and Dragons. But there was a scene where he's in the elevator, right? And there's dead bodies, and he's a vampire. He just fed off of them. He played a gangrel, and elevator door opens. People are gonna come in. They are in shock. They're screaming, and he's like, tuberculosis. And he's holding his mouth from the fangs that are propping out, and he says tuberculosis. And it was funny. And comparable stats would be deception. And he was fantastic. That scene was just so visual, so beautiful, that it really made up that World of the Darkness scene. Now, I can talk about this all night. Just different experiences that I had with my guys. I can tell you one with Jim Sanders. He man, I miss these guys, but he was fighting in his one of his good friends. I had an NPC. His name was Masamoto Yoshida, and he was in Vampire the Masquerade again. Him and Jim. He played Randy Rhodes. Yes, Randy Rhodes. Oh, awesome! Thank you, Tennessee Volunteer 85. Thank you. Yeah, Jim played Randy Rhodes. He's a big fan. So he wanted to be Randy Rhodes, and he was. And him and Masamoto Yoshida were best of friends. And in the vampire game, that other vampire dies. There was a big moment. All the players were there, and it was a tearjerker moment. But either way, I miss them guys, and I have other friends. Mark and Dennis up in Canada. These guys are fantastic. They played in some of my games, not Dungeons and Dragons, but other role-playing games that I've played with them. If you guys ever heard of Spycraft, I've played Spycraft, and we've played a Robotech, a Palladium system. So for those on Rumble, they know what I'm talking about. It's great. So them guys, I miss to high hell. All of them. But the group that I have now, I love to death. Don't get me wrong. These guys are awesome. They're going to be back May 18th for season 2. But next week, next Saturday, 8 p.m. Central, Alexander Mark Yanis, his company, Momo Dai, he has a role-playing game that he wants to talk about, that he made, that he wants to unfold to the streaming world. He has already. It's up on my website. It should be up. If not, I will get it up. He's going to have character creation and some role-playing moments next Saturday. Join us. It'll be fantastic. It is going to be one hell of a time. Anyways, everyone tonight, thank you for showing up, saying hello. I love you all. I will see you guys next Friday and Saturday. Good night.